we're talking about
the offices of Postal.
We're talking about certain offices and whether or not they're useful or not, and whether or not they've been outdated. Why are you grabbing your head like that?
I don't know. Sometimes it hurts just at random.
You might have that looked at. It sounds a little...
I think I need like a live-in doctor to figure out what's going on with all of the things that ail me. Dying,
That's
bro.
right. You had one night of basketball and woke up...
Listen, are you familiar...
with a hurt back, you old geezer?
Are you familiar with the phrase that a friend in need is a pest?
Oh, I'm fully aware of that.
Listen, moral of the story is when a quote-unquote global pandemic puts you out of commission where you're not doing anything physically active.
Oh, you're blaming the pandemic for your back.
That's what everybody else does.
No.
Isn't coronavirus at fault for everything?
You're better than that.
Well, listen. The problems...
I am better than shit, Jack.
The problems with me notwithstanding, pre-existing problems,
they are vast and varied.
I think we can both agree that,
Get your tootsie off my hand. Don't fuck it.
4+ months of...
That's how you get corona.
Of corona-induced inactivity is not going to help anything.
You're a lying sack of shit. You could have been working out this entire time, stretching and doing all that stuff.
I told you. I am doing that stuff, but I'm not, lifting and training in the same way I was before. And that I can't help.
You're beast mode.
Like,
you're just making all them gains.
Got a long commute to work, and if I can't shower after the gym in the morning before work, then I can't go to the gym.
Stinky gym bod.
And why do you think they have the showers shut down? Because they thought that the one place you're in the gym where the whole purpose is to douse yourself in soap, the thing that kills this thing on contact, is the one part of the gym that they have shut down.
Well, it's been a long time coming because we've all known old man Jim Dick has been around way too long and it needed to stop. So now, he's just a creeper if he's walking around the fucking locker room with his wanky hanging out. You got it?
I don't even know how that happened.
Jesus fucking...
Everything was going fine.
You're a man-child. With a hole in his lip.
All right, listen, it's okay.
Do I need to get you a bib?
I only spilled it on me, and beer does not stain. Does beer stain? I don't think so.
I don't believe it does.
We're good. Oh. Are we ready to get in this thing?
I don't know. You want to cue the music?
I think we're ready. Let's drop it in. Weapons of Meme Destruction, episode 16, coming at your face. Find us at wmdpodcast.com/16 for the show notes for this episode and to come drop us a like, say hi.
Or wherever podcasts are caught.
Yes.
Podcast catchers.
Yeah, do all that stuff too.
Why do they call it a catcher? Like, you have to put it into the thing.
Yeah, and
it should be a receiver.
And then the things catch it, and then it goes into your ear holes.
Correct.
Whatever.
And then it dispenses it into your ear hole.
Anyway, today's topic...
Let us dispense into your holes.
Today's topic is the ongoing
Easy.
nationwide crisis.
Easy.
That is the USPS. And
for you that aren't down with the lingo, it's the U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah, it's just another one of the, alphabet soup of useless government agencies. So,
oh snap!
In having this discussion, seeing this discussion had all over various forms of social media, we keep seeing the same argument pop up, and we're like, if this isn't already a meme, it's starting. It's starting because the pro Postal Service side seems to think that this is just like the end of the discussion. Once they trot out this same line then any objection you had to the Postal Service is just null and void, and you're stupid and an idiot, and the government should maintain its monopoly on
stop picking your fingers
on the transmission of first class mail. David,
you said that very sternly.
You have any discussion with people about this whole USPS thing?
Dude, all the time. I'll like walk into Chipotle and I'll be like, U.S. Postal Service, right? They're like, oh,
well, you interact on a pretty regular basis with people at all ends of the spectrum, so...
No, I literally don't talk about the U.S. Postal Service hardly at all. But I'm assuming that you're talking about...
in these times, it would come up.
These times.
No, it doesn't come up. Everybody's losing their fucking minds over it. It doesn't come up with the people you talk with.
I mean, there's again... these troubled times that we are living in right now, there's plenty to talk about. Unfortunately, the U.S. Postal Service isn't typically one of them. However, yes, there's we've discussed mail sometimes. Does that make you happy?
No. Just wondering if this may be one of the things we should have discussed for this episode.
I'm ready to go. Here we go. Here we go.
All right.
I don't contribute. I just show up.
So, we do have a tweet from somebody. It's a blue check mark on Twitter who also happens to be a sitting U.S. Senator, Brian Schatz from Hawaii. And here's his tweet.
Schatz gasp of finance.
Public libraries don't pay for themselves. Fire departments don't pay for themselves. Public schools do not pay for themselves. The Postal Service is enshrined in the Constitution and is not supposed to break even. End quote. So that's, like I said, that's what, if you say anything remotely against the U.S. Postal Service, that's what you're hit with. And you're not supposed to have a response to that.
Isn't that what every
we're going to give you one.
Government agency is supposed to do? Aren't they supposed to break even? At least?
No, not according to these people, no. No.
Fucking...
And I mean, there's a fundamental reason why they won't and never have to. And it's because, as we've discussed on many episodes before, they're coercively funded. The only reason why a private institution has to break even is because if the dollars and cents don't match up to keep the company in the black, the company no longer exists.
That's what's supposed to happen.
But the government can just say, oh shit, we had a shortfall by $10 billion last year. Well, let's just take another $10 billion from people's paychecks. Because, they can't say no. We've made them an offer. They can't refuse. Give us 30% of your paycheck or sit in the Crossbar Motel.
It's not really an offer. It's more of like a mandate. Or at least, to put it mildly, it's more like a strong arm robbery.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And typically, I don't know about you, but if I heard that the U.S. government was collecting taxes to keep the cotton gin alive, I'd be very surprised about that too. Usually when something's obsolete, you just kind of let it go and fade into the distance and you say, yeah, that was the thing that we used to do, but now we have paperless transactions through, this thing called the interwebs, and we don't need this thing anymore.
Well, and although I do want to tack on to the meme of this a little bit, because I also saw something floating around social media the other day, and it was something like, if every, American household went and bought one little $11 booklet of stamps, it would give an extra $1.5 billion to the Postal Service. Okay, first of all, if I'm not using that service, why would I go pay to fund that service that I'm not using? That's the first thing. But the second thing is, let's address what $1.5 billion really means to the Postal Service. I'm going to go in reverse chronological order, and I'm going to give you the Postal Service's net income losses by year.
So to be poignant, 2019, 2018, 2017, 2013.
I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to run through it real quick, but I'm going to take it all the way back to...
But that's what I'm saying. Reverse chronological order is 2019,
yes.
18, 17.
Right. I'm going to take this all the way back to 2006 because that was the last year
that they broke even,
that they actually made money.
Oh, they
had a budget surplus. So 2019.
That was roughly the same year that the iPhone came out, right?
Bro, we were seniors in high school the last time the Postal Service made money.
Don't fucking say shit like that. God damn it.
It's all right.
Us geriatrics trundling
I think they gathered from the
pre-roll, from your aching back from a couple of basketball games.
Okay, here we go. 2019.
He slam dunked it like a couple of times. That's why.
$8.8 billion loss. 2018. $3.9 billion loss. $2.7 billion loss. $5.6 billion loss. $5.1 billion loss. $5.5 billion loss. $5 billion. 2012, $15.9 billion loss. 2011, $5.1 billion loss. 2010, $8.5 billion loss. 09, $3.8 billion loss. 08, $2.8 billion loss. And 2007, $5.1 billion loss. Not in one single year would an influx of $1.5 billion put the USPS in the black for that 1 year, let alone for all that time.
Did kids not believe in Santa in 2012? Is that what happened?
I don't know what happened.
Because that was a...
My guess, my best guess is infrastructure upgrades. Maybe they did a bunch of, upgrades to their logistical chain. Maybe they, replaced a lot of boxes. I don't know.
Who the
It's irrelevant. Point is, they're losing on average.
You know who I'm blaming?
$5 to $6 billion a year, and we're supposed to feel bad.
The Mayans, because wasn't 2012 the year that it was supposed to end? All this stuff was supposed to hit the proverbial fan from the people that used to cut the still beating hearts out of virgins and roll fucking heads down temples. Listen, this is our history. All right, we're gonna go tear down some statues down in Mexico. Montezuma, we're coming. It is Montezuma, right? That's the Aztecs.
I don't know.
Inca, Mayas, and Aztecs, right?
Yeah. Are you done with this detour?
The Anunnaki. All right, go
Aliens.
Ahead. Aliens.
So yeah, that's what we're dealing with in terms of how wasteful and inefficient this is. Now, again, to Brian Schatz's point, he'll say, well, who cares? USPS isn't supposed to be profitable. It's providing a quote-unquote public service, just like your local fire department and school and yada, yada, yada.
Which is what he said.
Now, if your reply when somebody objects when somebody says, yeah, well, maybe this thing is kind of a waste of resources because it can be done more efficiently by, a private sector company. If your response is, yeah, but look at all these other government boondoggles that waste a bunch of money, you're losing that argument. Now, you might not like the terms that the argument's being had on, but you're losing because the argument is it's wasting a lot of money. And if all you can come up with is, yeah, well, these other things waste a lot of money. Or my favorite one, I saw one the other day.
That's not the only thing that's losing money. We're incompetent in many different directions, all right?
We're incompetent to the tune of $27 trillion.
Yeah, you fucking idiots.
So, yeah, maybe you should.
We're really good at being bad,
money.
All right? Give us credit. You don't understand.
Yeah, that's how stupid this argument is. Because
it's like a drug addict. It's like, listen, I know what you think. That I'm not going to pull this through. All I need is a little more money so I can get a little heroin into my veins, and then I'm going to write the best album ever. So all I need is a little more scratch. Just buy my stamps, and you'll give me my heroin money. Yeah, I'm saying that the U.S. Postal Service, maybe the reason why they're having such financial problems is because they're drug addicts. Single one of them.
I think the entire government is
drug addicts.
I mean, that's the way they spend money. But yeah, like that boggles my mind. Or another one, it's like, the military, loses money. It doesn't make any money and all this kind of stuff. It's like, if you could put a red flashing light on your forehead to say, I don't understand economics at all, and make it more obvious than making that kind of argument, you probably would be taken a little bit more seriously.
My forehead would have a gigantic. You'd call me Rudolph, the red forehead reindeer.
Because let's talk very briefly about where really what this meme is grounded in. Which again, the people that are going around, spouting this stuff off as if it's espousing an ending to the conversation.
A mic drop, if you will.
Here's what it's based in. It's based in this idea of public goods can't be provided by the private market, and because, well, it's a service that's valuable, and that people that don't have the money to pay for it need to be subsidized by other people, so via taxation, to make sure that they get their, again, tugging at the heartstrings from that side of the aisle is, oh, if the USPS goes under, I won't get my insulin. Or if the USPS goes under, I won't get my, Social Security check, or whatever the case may be. As if in the absence of a government-imposed monopoly,
get them, dang,
that's supported by coercive theft of taxation.
Because taxation's theft, dang.
And is protected from competition from the UPS and FedEx and other private provision of this particular type of service.
What would happen?
As if in the absence of that these other companies wouldn't find a way.
Is it treason to how in capitalism,
to make these things happen?
In capitalism, if another business starts up with the same model as you, creating the same product, is it what if another government startup happened? Wasn't that Chaz though? Wasn't that supposed to be Chaz? That's the new about? Government. Seeing as this isn't working, let's make a newer model of government. Let's infrastructure and build up a new government kind of Capitol Hill. Only make this one in New York, so you can get your products quicker. Would that be a war? Would that be? Is it? Have we reached the point? Is what I'm saying. With you staring at your phone, have we reached the point where it's we need to just revamp this whole thing and just start it back over? Because it's clear that it's not working.
Well, I mean, that point was reached long, long ago, but another topic for another episode of this whole lesser of two evils kind of thing.
What I'm saying is why can't we ever just make a new thing? It's still the same thing, a new postal office that doesn't have the same regulations that it did, because it's clearly not working. What I think the least amount of money that you said that it lost within the
was 2.7 billion within the last 13 years.
Well, I mean, I don't know how far the rabbit hole you got to go down to eventually go, you guys want to stop digging this fucking hole that we're in?
Well, but and that's the other thing, that why the apologetics for government never seems to end, because no matter how bad it is, no matter how much money government program X loses, the argument is always, wow, look at how much money we're losing. It's because you're not giving us enough. Give us more. And again, we've said this on past episodes before. Imagine a private institution operating like that.
Well, they're
imagine, I said, I use Walmart all the time because Walmart is, the evil empire as far as so many people are concerned. Imagine Walmart goes, hey, customers, we had operating losses of $2.7 billion last year, so we need to raise prices. What do the customers have a choice to do at that point? Either continue to shop there at higher prices or go to Target. And if Walmart can't make that work, Walmart goes out of business.
Well, that's kind of funny too. That I've been using that analogy.
But yeah, government is the only institution in society that the more it loses, the more these people that make this type of argument that, oh, well, it's a government, it's not supposed to make money. The more the government loses in their minds, it seems like to me,
well,
their argument becomes stronger.
It goes back to the same
to give more money
analogy
to the
that I just had is that kind of persona or that kind of moxie is vilified in any other aspect that's not involved in government. If you had a banker or the guy that was running your financial plan was coming in and losing your money each and every day to the tune of however the billions of dollars, whatever. And he said, listen, we've had a bad run. All we need to do, just need to give me a little more money. And it's gone. Okay, so now that was unlucky. That wasn't so. But now all you need to do to make that money back is I've got a great idea, and we're gonna put it right here, and it's gone. this time it's going to work. You're telling me that this time is the time that's going to work. It's like the drug addict.
Right.
Like, this is the last hit that I'm ever going to take.
And for that analogy, in any other aspect, dealing with any other individual or group of individuals in your life, maybe you're a super tolerant person and maybe somebody can burn you 5 or 10 times before you finally say, you know what, Clark, I'm not doing this anymore. And you just quit giving him money. But the point is that even in those situations, you always have an option to not give Clark any more money. With the government,
unless Clark takes that money,
you never have that option. It is.
You don't know Clark like I know Clark. All right, Clark is going to get that money one way or another.
Well, in a way, not in a way. I think this is clear to the point of being, obvious. Is that what we say all the time on this podcast is human behavior fundamentally comes down to incentives. What incentives are built into the systems and structures of whatever decisions that human beings are making that encourages them to choose option A instead of option B. And if you're the government, you have absolutely zero incentive to be responsible with money. You have absolutely zero incentive to try to find ways to provide a good or service at superior quality and reduced cost. Because at the end of the day, no matter how poor of a manager you are, no matter how many mistakes you make, no matter how many people you hurt along the way, you always have this meme to fall back on. Guys, we lost money. It's your fault. Like, give me an interpersonal analogy of somebody who always fucks up and then says, it's because of you that I did it. And so you have to fix it, because that's what the government's saying to the American taxpayer. We have a postal delivery service that is absolutely atrocious. And the best argument that we can come up with in defense of it is, well, we're providing a public service, so we're not supposed to be profitable. Hardy, 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 hard. Give us more money. Like, if you had a friend or family member who constantly fucked up and goes, you know what? I see what you're saying, but it's your fault.
Let's just
how often would you keep, or how likely is it you would keep that person around? Don't mind that. That was an elf, an angry elf.
We just rear-ended another podcast. Our podcast, we let our foot slipped off the brake, and we rear-ended another podcast. Sorry. We'll get your information after we're done with this episode. Fuck, I had a train of thought there, and now I'm thinking about my copay that's gonna have to go up each month.
Well, if this helps, where mine ended is like, imagine you had a friend or family member that their response every time you said, dude, stop doing that, you're hurting yourself and or hurting others, stop doing it. And their response is, well, it's because you're not doing enough for me.
But that's literally every fuck up.
Were you going to riff on that?
No, I wasn't going to riff on that. Shit. I wasn't going to riff on that at all. No, it's fine. We've beaten this horse to death almost. But I mean, But my whole point about this is that we've invented something that makes us obsolete already. Why are we trying to hold on to this any further than it needs to be held on to? We've got something that works faster, with less overhead, and it's more accurate. What the hell else do you want? I mean, that's all three fronts of any given business whatsoever. And it's been around since roughly, 2000. Was when it really took off, when, emails and the like started to go to average people. Like, it's natural to let things die. I don't know why this country has such a problem letting things just naturally run their course and let go. But we have to hold on to these old traditions and these dying.
It's in terms of government, it's that old.
It's like nostalgia almost.
In terms of government, it's that old Milton Friedman quote, which goes something.
Yes, Milton Friedman. I knew him well.
Which goes something to the effect of, there's nothing so permanent as a temporary government program.
We used to call him Milt. Hey, Milt.
You'll just call him all Milty boy.
Hey, Milt. Hey, Ton. Hey, come on in, Ton.
Yeah, so I mean that's what you're referring to, is because government will always say, "Oh yeah, well, we're in a time of crisis. We need to do this. We need to take this power. Don't worry, it'll be fine." And I forget the episode, but this is definitely a callback to a previous one. We talked about the ratchet effect.
Well, once the genie's out of the bottle,
but it never goes back to what it was.
No, it's like, we'll let go of this. Yeah, absolutely. We won't make you get naked at the TSA lines forever. Not forever.
We're not going to douse you with a load of cancer-inducing radio waves every time you want to fly on a freaking plane.
For your safety. Enjoy your testicular cancer at the age of 24.
But before we wrap this episode up, I do want to interject.
I was just starting to catch my flow in this episode.
We'll catch you on the next go.
Oh, okay.
I just want to throw. I want to fight a little fire with fire.
Ooh.
I want to put a meme out there, which already exists.
An eye for an eye and a teat for a teat.
Believe you me, memes. David and I are not smart enough to come up with this one on our own, but it applies here.
Well, you got it.
It's the concept of the seen versus the unseen. So if we have this meme out there that government can just lose as much as it wants, and that's the way it's supposed to be because it's
you
government.
didn't see it because we won.
I want to call back to an idea that was started by French 19th century French economists, Frédéric Bastiat, which was expounded on by several Austrian economists. And if you need an entry into economics, start with Henry Hazlitt's Economic in One Lesson, because he expounds on this concept of the seen versus the unseen.
Is that going to require reading?
No. I mean, there's going to be a link in the show notes page to Amazon if you want to get the book. But it'll help. If you want to hear a more fleshed out analysis than what we're going to give in the next 2 to 3 minutes, that's what I'm suggesting.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
So, like,
It's not homework. It's extra credit work.
I don't want to be an educated person. I just want to play one on TV.
Okay.
Okay.
So in a nutshell, in a couple minutes, here's the concept. So the seen versus the unseen. When you take a limited amount of resources and you dedicate them to Project A, and you say at the end of Project A, you point to Project A and say, look what we did. Look what we built. We provided this good or service, and you're going to love it, and it's fantastic. That's the scene. And that's what government is doing with the Postal Service, saying, see, look, if not for us, people wouldn't get their insulin shots and mail wouldn't be delivered. But the unseen is that same amount of resources directed into the private economy or left in private hands, where people voluntarily exchange and find the most efficient way to get the job done, again, in this case, delivering insulin shots in the mail, is that we will never know if that same task could not have been done more efficiently and with less waste left to option B, the private economy, because that money's already gone. That money is taxed out of everybody's paycheck, 30% or whatever, and it's going to the UPS, or the USPS, whether you like it or not. And that's the seen versus the unseen. So people that are making this argument, they're saying, yeah, we know the USPS loses a ton of money. We know your local schools and fire departments, we know they lose a ton of money. But if they weren't losing a bunch of money, you wouldn't have these things. Again, that's a completely unsupportable claim, because if that money was left in the private market, are they trying to tell us that we would all just stand around with our thumbs up our ass saying, I wonder how I'm going to get this letter to Tom? No, we would take that 30% that's not stolen out of our paychecks, and maybe we would pay a little bit more to send a letter through the mail, but we would have a lot more in our pockets when you consider how much is really taken from us via taxation.
Stop fucking around. Let Amazon just buy the U.S. Post Office, and let's stop keeping it as a part of the government. Let it be obtained by a corporate entity, because did I say corporate entity? Because that's basically what the government has become anyway, right? Is a huge corporate conglomerate that just can't.
Well, I think it's always acted in that way, but right. Government apologetics will try to draw this sharp line, like, ooh, corporation bad, government good. Mm-hmm. The only reason why government isn't as great as we think it is,
but it works
in theory,
exactly like a fucking corporation.
It doesn't have the right people.
Actually, I would argue that it doesn't. It works worse again, like it's imitating a fucking corporation, but it's not as efficient.
Because it's coercively funded. Because even if it destroys your life, you still have to pay for it.
You can't leave Walmart and go to Target.
Right.
So, lest you be called a treasoner, because that's the scientific name.
So, when people are making this argument like, oh, look at this thing government's providing and it's not supposed to make any money, the unseen part of that is you don't know none of us will ever know where those same resources that were wasted could have gone to more productive means, and we would have still got the same goods and services, but we would all be, as a society, a little wealthier. That's the nutshell. But I highly recommend reading Bastiat, and I highly recommend reading Henry Hazlitt if you would like.
Giving out homework.
Or jump in on wmdpodcast.com/14.
Where do they send their book reports to?
Get some links from us in the show notes.
Where do they send their book reports when they're finally done with all this reading that you're having?
So that's basically, where I'm at with the whole thing. I think that's the bow that I'm tying on this thing. You have anything else left to say?
I forgot my bows at home, but I've got this sweet ass like stencil that we could probably put on it too.
Good.
Really gussy it up.
Good. So if you're even remotely skeptical of a government program, don't let people shut you down with stupid stuff like this. We're done.
We're done?
I'm just saying that's the meme.
Just giving a little pat on the butt right before they leave.
It's destroyed, but
you got it, kiddos.
Put the good meme out there. Start talking to people about the seen versus unseen and understand a basic level of how economics works, and you can destroy this stuff on your own. At the end of the day, that's what we hope for.
But you'll always need us. You'll always want to come back to mama.
Come back.